Welcome back to Bluegrass. This beautiful September afternoon. I'm out with Norman, Bulgarian Karakachan, and you'll notice I have some papers in my hand. So I'm going to do a couple of things right now. I'm going to kind of work Norman, so you're going to hear some clicking and treating, but in between the clicking and treating, I'm going to read you a little research I did. Okay, and so kind of the video is going to be partly about training this dog because I'm going to be multitasking, okay? And it's partly going to be about something kind of important that came about as a result of a comment in another video with Norman in it. Come on, dude, you can do it. So we made a video a week or two ago, and we were just out hiking with Norman, and somebody in the comments said that we were very lucky to have access to Norman because in his home country of Bulgaria, the communists had tried to kill all of the dogs. And I was like, what? Why would the communists want to kill all the dogs, you know? And so I just on a lark, I jumped on the computer and I went to one of those AIs and I typed in, why did communists kill all the dogs in Bulgaria, right? And the very thing that pops up, the very first thing that pops up, come on Norman, you can do it, is, you know, they start talking about how when the communists came to power, they started to eradicate stray dogs. And their, you know, kind of their reasoning behind that was if they eradicated the stray dogs, they got rid of disease, and they kind of were able to recapture some of the resources that were being wasted on stray dog management. Okay, and I thought, okay, well that seems kind of interesting, you know, but it seems a little bit sanitized. So then I said specifically, why did the communists kill livestock guardian dogs and other farm dogs? And this is where it all got really interesting. Come on, Norman, you can do it. Come on, buddy. You can do it. Come on, big boy. Now, while we're working, Norman, you will, if you start to do some research about what a Bulgarian Karakachan is, he's a livestock guardian dog. And livestock guardian dogs are not dogs that are bred to do highly complex jobs in conjunction with a handler. So you'll notice that he's not like Memphis, where he's not like he's not finding this this formal schoolwork the most interesting. Okay, but I thought it kind of goes with the video. So I said specifically, why did the communists kill livestock guardian dogs and other farm dogs? And it said the primary reasons were the elimination of private property, control over resources, which forced people into state-controlled jobs. In essence, killing these highly specialized and valuable working dogs was not a random act of cruelty, but a calculated step to destroy the existing rural class, eradicate private farming, and assert absolute control. So already this little conversation, come on dude, that I'm having with this AI is getting pretty dark, right? You know, I mean, I just kind of on a whim said, why did communists kill dogs? And the next thing I know, AI is telling me that the communists wanted to kill dogs, and it wasn't about the dogs, it was about the people that owned the dogs, right? And so I was like, well, that seems weird. You know, if they kill all the farmers, then who's going to be in control of the resources and provide food for the citizens of Bulgaria, okay? And guess what the AI said? It said the state. The system was designed as follows: to be a mixture of collective farms, central planning, state employees, and state distribution. Okay? In other words, they killed the people's dogs, and then they took their farms, and they took their property, and they basically impoverished them, right? Because think about this, like, so you're a little farmer, and you've got some sheep, and the state comes, they take some of your sheep, so you're left with a few sheep, something that you can maybe eke out a little bit of an existence on, and then they kill your dog. So you can't protect your sheep from the wolves and other predators. So the wolves and other predators come, kill your sheep. The state took some of your sheep, so you're left destitute. Where do you have to turn to be able to feed your family? You have to turn to the state. So you have to go get a state job. Well, guess what comes along with a state job? The complete loss of autonomy, right? Because once you go to working for the state, you can't say what you think. You're not even allowed to think and discuss it with your friends, okay? Because that would be, you know, that would be an attack on the state power structure, which is exactly what was not allowed in the communist systems and is steadily becoming not allowed here, okay? So I started thinking about that, and I was like, all right, well, did that happen everywhere the communists took control? I thought that's kind of an interesting question. Was this just something that just happened in Bulgaria? And they said, nope. This policy was central to communist ideology. The destruction of the private farming class wasn't a side effect. It was a primary objective rooted in Marxist-Leninist theory. You had the elimination of a class enemy, You had total state control, which fueled industrialization. And industries are controlled by very few people, okay? So I want you to think about that, right? As I'm reading this, I'm thinking about some, politician hiring somebody to come kill my dog, force me to work for the state, tell me what I can or can't think, right? And then I find out it's happening all over the world to other people like me because we're considered class enemies. So basically, I'm just a guy. I'm tied to the land. I want my family to live on this land. I want to have a type of family tradition that is intergenerational in terms of transfer of culture and knowledge. And I'm a class enemy. I'm the bad guy. And I was like, well, okay, so I'm the bad guy. Did the communists see bad guys everywhere they went? Yep. They saw bad guys in the Soviet Union. They saw bad guys in China, in Cambodia, all over Eastern Europe, all over South America. Basically, wherever the communist ideology goes, if you see somebody like me, I'm a class enemy. And, okay, so let me explain to you what that means, class enemy. That means not only am I an enemy, but my children are enemies. And my children's children's children are enemies. And so in other words, everyone who looks and acts like me is an enemy of the state. And they're willing to come kill my dogs, kill my livestock, confiscate my livestock, and leave me with the choice of starve or serve the state system. That does not sound like a very good deal to me, okay? So, as I went through this, I thought to myself, okay, so come on, I'm gonna make this video, and maybe nobody's gonna care because they don't live the same type of life that I live. They don't live in a rural environment. They don't live around a bunch of people that try to get them a piece of property and figure out a way to make a living with that piece of property and raise their children, with the same social mores that I do. Okay, I thought about that. But everybody that watches my channel likes dogs, right? So guess what? Here's the crazy part. Do you know who the communist hates more than the farmers? Okay? It's all the bourgeois, all the leisure class, all the professional class that doesn't serve the state. Okay, so they hate dogs that work, but they hate dogs that don't work anymore. So hunting dogs, bam, ultimate expression of bourgeois excess, right? You're so rich that you can just go to someone's property and kill animals and take a dog along to help. Okay, well, those dogs are getting killed, and that activity, it's off the list. And so, okay, so now we're down to, well, so maybe you don't identify with this little video because you're not a rural person. Maybe you don't identify with it because you're not a hunter. But guess what? What they hated more than anything else, okay, is pets. Okay, because how bougie do you have to be to have a pet, right? So you live in a society where you feel like you are justified in allocating resources to having an animal instead of sharing your resources with the state, because every dollar that you spend on this pet dog is a dollar that the state doesn't have control of, right? So I just thought, what a crazy thing. Just one little simple, conversation with AI, and the next thing you know, I realize, hey, listen, I'm in a precarious position because these people didn't disappear. They're still around. Just because their governments collapsed doesn't mean that the ideological underpinnings of those governments didn't collapse, right? And then I thought, well, I'm going to bring this up on my channel. And I thought, well, maybe I'm not, because maybe not everybody's going to agree, with what I'm saying. But I'm here to ask you, if you like dogs, how can you even entertain the idea of liking government control, especially government control that moves in the direction of communism? Because the communists are going to kill all your dogs, and you can't do anything about it. So anyway, just an interesting conversation. Post your thoughts in the comment section below. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. You're a very good dog. I'm very glad the communists didn't kill you. You're a very good dog. Very nice dog.